So I'm going to share with you also how to paint, how to draw a freehand. If you're here, I would love to hear from you. Hello, Jill. Thank you for coming. Hi, Joanna. Thank you for coming today. So this is a project that we're going to be working together. And let me just, there you go. So I'm going to be sharing with you the colors, the paint I'm going to be using, the type of brushes. I'm going to be doing a freehand, but if you're my patron and you want to have the outline is already in sharing in Patron Facebook for you, just to print it and transfer it to your watercolor paper. Okay, let's start by telling you that the paper that I'm going to be using is Arch. It's a great paper. I totally recommend you guys. It's cold press and it's 300 grams. So let me share with you my color palette is here. So today I'm going to be working with purple. I'm going to put aside my colors. Then I'm going to be using ultramarine blue. Then this is a beautiful cobalt green. This is a Payne's gray. This is a blue indigo. I am fan of blue indigo, guys. I don't know you guys. And phthalo blue. And of course, if I need a little bit of black for shadows on the eye, I'm going to be doing that. And let me add the picture right here. Like that, you guys have the complete image. So that's my drawing, and I already add some of the white mask. That is something that we're going to be using because we need to protect the whale to work first the background. If you don't know how to use white mask, also there is another video in my YouTube channel how to use it, but it's really simple. With a tiny brush, you can use a toothpick, a brush, something with a very thin point like this. You need to protect the bristles with soap, and then you grab some of the white mask, and then you can apply the white mask. You can go all around inside just to protect everything, or use the outlines, whatever you feel more confident to do it. That's the best way to do it. And then also, if you see my original picture here, you can see that it has some bubbles. So the bubbles, we're going to be using the white of the paper, but also I want to be using some of my jelly roll number 8, and I just found out that number 10 even is much better to work in watercolor paper. Okay, and this is Canela, my puppy. Hey Canela. So I apply some of the white mask as a bubbles here because I want to pay more attention to the bubbles to make it look a little more real, okay, and to use the white of the paper, but both looks good. And if you don't want to do that, don't worry, because also we're going to be using a Pro White. That is a type of wash, or if you don't have, you can even use carefully a white acrylic, okay? Yes. So as I'm using a big piece of paper, this is a 9 by 12, I need to use a big brush. So this is a flat. I'm going to be using it just to apply the water. For my wash, I'm using this number 3 as well, and I don't even want to try to say this brand, but it's for mop. It's a mop brush, okay? Then to apply colors, I have two. I have this flat number 8, but you can see how big it is. So depend the brand is how big it's going to be. And I have number 12 round from Princeton. This is a really good point. I love this point. And for the details, I have these two tiny ones. One is number 0, and the second one is 16/0, so it's very thin. And I have another one that is 0000. I don't know if we're going to be in need to use it, but so far this is what we're going to use. I have my water spray. That is important because if we don't see that the water is moving, I'm going to be spraying more water into my paper. And also I use it to spray water to activate my paints, okay? So in this case, I tape all around my paper with this type of tape, just to have a white, clean frame all around, okay? So let me just push a little bit to my cardboard board. This is a wood board. And I want to put behind this, because I want to have an inclination. There you go. I don't know if you are able to see, but it's this big. This how big is the inclination, because I want the water to move towards the bottom of the paper. Of course I have my 2 glasses of water. One glass of water is to clean my brush, and the second one is to use clean water into the painting. So now I'm going to use my number 2, with clean water. I'm going to apply clean water, and I'm going to start wetting the paper. When you apply the white mask before adding the water, you need to be super sure that the white mask is 100% dry, because if not, you're going to have accident, and the paint is going to go inside the part of your drawing that you don't want to stain. Okay, so let me keep moving. I'm going all around the whale. In some areas, I can even use my clean brush, just water, to access to these little small areas. Okay, let me keep moving. If you have a lamp in your desk, you can use the light of the lamp to see if you have wet, if you had wet all the paper. So this technique is wet with wet. That's mean wet paper with the wet paint. So it looks that we have everything wet. And what I'm going to do first, I'm going to start adding my lightest color. So my lightest colors are going to be now is my cobalt green. So I have here my cobalt green. And I'm adding a little bit of water. And now I'm going to change with my mop brush, because the mop brush is going to grab more paint and more water. And I'm going to add some of the lightest, you know, the highlights. And when we paint a watercolor, we need to remember that as soon as the watercolor is dry, you are going to have less, between 30 and 40% of the intensity of the color you're going to get lost. It's going to get lost. So don't worry when you are adding color. So after my green, I want to add some of my cerulean blue. Okay, so I'm going to clean my brush and I want to grab some of my cerulean blue. Oh, I have a little salt here. I didn't even notice. So a little bit of my cerulean blue, and I'm going to go close to my, besides the cobalt green. As the paper is wet, so the colors are trying to blend, to meet. So oops, I went inside the whale, so it's okay. You can have, it's good to have like a towel, paper towel close to you, just in case that you need to clean or, you know, correct the mistake. So now I'm going to clean my brush, and I'm going to grab first some of the phthalo blue, and I want to go again besides the cerulean blue. And it's okay if you go and start like I don't know, touching the green. It doesn't matter. I don't want you to feel stressed to have like a perfect lines, because this is the first coat. We are going to be glazing this background more. Yeah, that's why it's good to have a hair dryer. By the way, if you're painting and you don't have like a stress time, like no stress, like you don't need to finish it like me now, it's better, guys, if you allow the watercolor to dry by its own. So now I want to add a little bit of the ultramarine, and again besides the blue, the phthalo blue, or in the top of the phthalo blue. in the last color. Now I want to add some of my indigo blue in the bottom, and some areas in the bottom and some areas in between. I don't know if you can see now, I am start like overlapping the colors. But the four corners I like to have like more dark color. And even if you see now that it looks too much like color, when it's dry you will notice that is not the case. So I'm going to clean my brush, and I want to go back and add my cobalt green. I have something here that I want to clean. Go outside. Okay, so now guys, I want you to grab a clean brush, grab clean water, and I want you to tap and add some like drops. By doing this, your paper needs to be wet. If it's not wet, it's going to be a little hard to do it. You are making these marks. You can use it as well when you're doing like a snowflakes. This is a way to do snowflakes. Okay? So the smaller your brush is, the drops are going to be smaller. So I'm changing just for the drops. And I want to pay more attention where the cobalt green is, to have these smaller drops. Okay, so this is part one. So I'm going to try it. I'm going to mute the video, and I'm going to come back when it's 100% dry. Okay. Okay, I'm back, and I wanna do a little zoom. I wanna show you how the drops that we add with water, it creates these like blurry like circles. And if you see how light it is now, the background, that's why we need to add another layer of color. Okay, so what we're going to do now, I'm going to move this. I'm going to wet again my whole picture, and that's why it's very important, guys, that your paper is 100% dry, because if not, you're going to peel the color, the paint that is already in the bottom. So there are two ways. One is to use your spray, our mop brush, and now I'm going to be using, first I'm going to try just with my ultramarine color, and I'm going to start by adding all Applying this color all over. And I want you to notice the direction of my strokes. And here we have a little area that we didn't apply color before. And when it's still wet, I'm going to grab again my blue indigo. And I want to add more close to the body of the whale. Some strokes like with the direction of the surface. And as wet your paper, these strokes are going to be blending perfectly into the color that is in the bottom. But, oops, sorry. Indigo. I have a little accident. It's okay. More blue indigo. Towards the bottom of the paper, you want to have darker color. So I'm still using my blue indigo. With a little less water because I want to have thick paint. And in the corners. I can see through the colors, the green that is important. And let's add more blue indigo. And I want to grab more of my color. So in the bottom, and again in the corners. And let me show you a tip. I have my clean flat brush. Wet your brush. Have ready a piece of a towel paper with you. And if you want to like peel some highlights, what you're going to do with a clean brush is swap the color and clean the color in your napkin. And each time you do that, you need to clean your brush just to create some highlights, like wherever you feel like, oh, I want to have another highlight here. Look at this, I'm swapping the color. And each painting is going to be different, so that's the lovely part of watercolor, that we never know the final result until you know it's 100% dry. So yes, so I think I'm like it. And now I'm going to go back to use my small brush with clean water and do it again. And I hope this time is dark enough. And the only way to know this is to wait until it's dry. That way it's better if you allowed your paper to dry by its own, because sometimes the heat of the hair dryer is going to like eat some of the pigment. Okay, so there you go, guys. Here you need to decide if you want to add, I don't know, maybe more ultramarine before it's drying. Remember, if your paper is wet, you can keep adding colors. But when your paper is dry, you're going to be careful, because then the colors are not going to be like spreading and making this beautiful blending each other. So it's going to be more like a line if your paper is dry. Okay, so I'm going to dry this again, and you know what we're going to do? Well, it still is wet. I want to use some of my White Pro, so this is what we're going to do. I'm going to grab a little bit of my White Pro, going to add it here, and I'm going to add clean water. First, I'm gonna check, and I want to add some of this color, and it's going to be different than with the water. The ones with the water are going to be more like a blurry, and these are going to be more blurry, but at the same time you're going to be able to see it. So let's see. Okay, so I'm going to dry it, and I'm going to come back with you guys. I'm going to start peeling the white mask. You can use eraser, the special eraser that comes with the package, something like this, or you can use your finger. What I'm going to do is start painting the body of the whale. For that, I'm going to be using my number 12, and first what I'm going to do is I'm going to wet the whole whale, but not the fins. Okay, be sure that your brush is clean. Okay, when everything is wet, I'm going to, with the same brush, I'm going to start with the cobalt green, and I'm going to be adding the cobalt green in the top, using the line. And you will see how the watercolor is going to spread to the bottom. It's fine. And here a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to clean my brush, and now I want to add I want to say a little bit of the ultramarine. And be careful, do not touch the eye. And then I want to add some of the purple. Just some dots here in the tail. Then I'm going to clean my brush. I want to add some of the, let's use a little bit of the indigo in the pattern. You can use blue indigo or Payne's gray. Let's see if the blue indigo is enough, or we can add more of the Payne's gray. Here I like to start moving a little bit my paper, just to help the color to blend each other. So I'm going to move and yes, I want to use a little bit of the Payne's gray. And let's go back. So I move now towards me, and here I need to be careful because I don't want the color to move to the bottom. So just a little bit in the bottom, here and there. Okay, so what we're going to do now, I want to grab my salt, and this is something very important. If it's still wet, you need to wait that the paper is damp. Okay, so I'm going to give a little bit of time, and the way to do it is if you see like a little, I call it little swimming pools, so you need to wait a little bit. But the sheen of the paper is the one that is going to tell you that the paper is ready. So I'm just moving more my paper. All around, and let me take out . So I'm cleaning my brush, and I want to grab a little bit still of the green. I'm like swapping a little bit this color, like the way I showed you before, because I want to grab a little bit of the green and add still some green here. I was like missing some green here. Okay, so I think it's ready. So this is what I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to grab my table salt, and you're going to start adding tiny like grains of salt, very slow and gentle. And you're going to start adding the salt. So timing is important. If you pass the time where the paper is dry, you're not going to have the effect. It's going to be hard. This bottom part, I want to leave it without salt, just the top of the body. And it's okay if the salt goes outside because it's already dry, so don't worry. Try to spread the salt evenly as much as I can, and do not leave like blocks, like, I don't know, like chunks. Okay, so when you feel it's all with salt, now what you need to do is just wait to get dry. So while we wait, we can be painting the bubbles. Let me check on your comment. Yes, we all are in this group. Beth, thank you for coming and welcome. Okay, so guys, now for the bubbles, we are going to be working with our little tiny number 0 brush. So I'm going to clean a little bit my palette. And as we have, the background is already like dark with a dark blue. So I want to just grab a little bit of the cerulean blue just to give some color to the bubbles. And maybe even I can do a zoom in. So my brush is clean. I'm going to grab a little bit of the cerulean blue with water because I want to have like more lighter color. And I'm going to start by applying in the bottom of the biggest bubbles. And if the light is coming this way, so the shadows need to be in the bottom, okay? And I like to do this while we are waiting for the salt to get dry. Okay, so now I'm going to grab my jelly pen. First I need to check that it's working good. Yes. And I'm going to start adding some like bubbles. I like to make a break the circles. Do not make like a complete circle, like one solid line. And maybe a little dot as part of the reflection, like this, okay? And close to the whale, I want to do just a little dots. By combining these two techniques, I feel like the picture looks more like no static or like a stamping, you know? And after this, I'm going to start painting the fin. Okay, so I'm going to do a zoom out. Okay, and I'm going to start painting the fins. So I'm going to just clean the salts. Let me just grab a clean brush, dry clean brush. for that I wanna use my thin brush again, that is my number 0, because I want to control better everything. This time I wanna work dry paper with wet, because as this still is wet, I wanna be careful with the colors. I'm going to grab a little bit of my cobalt green that I have here with the tip of my brush. So I have my green, and I wanna go and using my water, I'm moving the color, and let me show you the picture. So I'm moving the color using the water. So again, green, and I want to go all around. Very careful, because this part is still wet, so that's why it's a very slow process. So you apply color, and then with the water you need to blend the color into the paper. Remember that you can use a little piece of paper to be cleaning the excess of the paint, the excess of the water. Here we have green in the background, so we can change the tones. So I'm going to clean my brush, and I'm going to grab a little bit of the ultramarine blue. If I touch this part of the green, it's going to spread. I'm going to grab clean water, because I want to have soft lines here. And by applying water besides the line, we're going to soften the lines. So I'm still adding more of my ultramarine. Clean my brush, and I can go back to my cobalt green. Adding water and blending. Here I want to have a darker shadow. Very slow process. Clean my brush, clean water, and blend it. I have a drop here. And now I want to add a little bit of my ultramarine blue in this part. If you see how by just touching it, the color is spread. Very soft and gentle. I'm going to clean my brush. And here I can even add a little touch of darker blue. What about a little bit of my phthalo blue? I have it here. Because I want to have the different tone of blues. I don't want this to be the same as the background. So that's why each paint is unique. You need to be like checking your backgrounds and see what you need to do to help the background. And here also I'm going to add a little bit of the blue. I'm going to clean my brush, clean water. Just going outside the blue. Okay. And these lines are so strong, so with the clean water, I'm going beside to soak these lines. Remember, the water is our friend. so we can use it as we need it. Okay. So yeah, this is a long tutorial, but tonight I'm going to be editing and it's going to be like not that long. Okay, so we're ready for the next, that is going to be the next fin. So I'm going to start again with my green, but this fin need to be darker, so we don't need to be worried for green. So the only thing I want to try to do is to leave like the outline in white, the line as much as you can. If not, we're going to be using our marker, so I'm not worried for that too. And water, and I'm moving this green. Here I'm going to grab a little bit of the blue, the phthalo blue. And then I'm going to grab a little bit of my indigo blue. Here we're going to add a white line that is going to help us to separate the color from the background. Okay, so a little bit more of the indigo blue. I'm doing very slow the indigo blue because I want to take care about this part of the whale. Do not mix with the fin, but we need to have like a shadow here. Okay, so now I'm going to work the eye. Let me see what I'm going to be doing first. I'm going to, with my thin brush, I'm going to paint the pupil. So I'm going to paint the pupil, and then I'm going to grab some of the green and some of the blue, and I'm going to dark mark with this button. And this part I want to be sure that it doesn't have salt. So with my dry brush, this is dry, just want to clean this part. Here we can already see the effect of the salt. So it's already clean. So I have my, where is my tiny, I have here my tiny short liner. And this is what I'm going to put the picture besides, like that we can see it both. And I'm going to grab a little bit of my black, or I can even start as well with, I have a new black, it's lamp black color. Take up here a little bit of the black, and I'm going to start by outlining the eye. So the whale has these tiny eyes. Can you see it? Yes. So I'm going to leave this little triangle in white. And a tiny one in the right side, and here is going to be a highlight. Okay, so I'm going to clean my little brush, and I'm going to grab a little bit of my ultramarine blue first, and be careful, do not touch the black area. So we're going to go around, even more character to the eye. Here we have a line that divides the mouth, so we just need to be careful. More we see the design, more I understand what I need to be doing. Here I'm doing just these little dots. More color, it was too much white, too much water. And it's dry paper with wet. Here I can even grab a little bit of my blue indigo to give more shadow in this part. This is the division between the mouth and the eye. Something like this. I'm going to clean my little brush and want to grab a little bit of my green again, but more thick. That's mean less water. And I want to paint the highlight. Be careful with the black. Just go very close, but at the same time be careful with how close it is. And I'm just adding here a little bit of this green. Okay, so something I want to do is I want to paint this part, and then I'm going to clean the salt. So for that I'm going to move to my round number 0. And I want to start by applying some of the ultramarine blue, and be careful, this is still wet. You need to wait to get dry, or you need to be careful when you're painting it. Okay, so I'm going to start by applying some lines. The idea here is that you want to leave the light line, a line with no painting. That's your good line. I mean, that makes sense. Even if we're going to come back later and add white, these are going to be helping us with the shadows. So as much close you can do lines. And this is more like a solid color. Okay. So I'm going to clean my brush. And I'm going to grab a little bit of my green again, but with less water, more thick color. Because I want to introduce a little bit of this green here and there. Just like that, okay? And we're going to wait to get dry to add the white lines. Here I can even grab a little bit of the blue indigo and add blue indigo to make it like darker, even darker, these shadows. We need darker shadows. Okay, so let's clean the salt. Okay guys, this is how it looks with the amount of time that we allowed the salt to be working on. So again, more time you give to the salt is going to be more defect. So in the video that I shared with you 2 days ago, I was sharing with you what happened if you allowed it 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, or 5 minutes, and all depends how wet was the paper. Okay, so but we need to keep moving. This is how it looks. This is more like, it looks more with more it's lighter than this one. Okay, so but we can keep working, and what I'm going to be doing is giving more light depth and volume into the body. Okay, so I'm going to go back and keep working with my number 12, and what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to work first this part of the tail using a little bit of my blue indigo. Let me see it. I want you guys to be able to see it. Okay, so it has water, but it's more thick. The color is thicker. By doing this, I'm even correcting some of the lines. So I'm going to clean my brush, take out the excess of the water, grab clean water, a little bit of clean water, and I'm going to be moving the color. Grab more blue indigo. Okay, now that I have the blue indigo, I'm going to grab this color and go into the bottom. And its belly. Just be careful, because whatever you do here, you are going to take out the effect of the salt. So I clean my brush, and I'm just moving the color very soft and gentle. And I can even do some dots just to keep with the idea of the effect of the salt. I want to introduce a little bit of my purple, so I'm going to grab a little bit of purple here, and I'm going to add some dots in purple. So that's why it's very important to add very strong colors in the bottom. Later you don't need to come back and revisit, but this is another way to do it. Just want to see the purple. I love the purple. Clean my brush and clean water. And now, after cleaning again my brush, I want to grab my green, cobalt green. Sorry for my chair is squeaking. And I want to add a little line here, and then I want to blend it. Okay, clean your brush and clean water. Take out the excess of the water, and I'm going to be blending this green, because this green with the purple, it looks amazing. I'm gonna grab again the green, and I want to add more green here, and dots, dots, dots. A little bit of the green here, dots. Now I want to grab a little bit of the ultramarine, clean your brush, a little bit of the ultramarine. I can even change my brush for this tiny one again, the number 0, round 0. A little bit of the ultramarine first. I want to work a little more into its eye. And with this same color, I want to add a little bit of this color here in this part. It's a white. I want to try to leave like a white line, but if you can, we're going to be using our gel, white gel, so I'm not worried about it. But this is the idea, like a white line. Okay, a little bit of my phthalo blue, and here is, for me, it's like I'm playing with the colors. I introducing the colors that I use at the beginning. You know how the skin has different tones, so just here and there, wherever I feel like I'm missing. I'm going to grab a little bit of my blue indigo, but now I'm going to change for my tiny brush. So blue indigo, okay, so I'm going to dry it and I'm going to start adding the white, the pro white, okay? Okay, so I have my tiny brush and my white. I'm going to grab a little bit with my brush and use the lid as my palette. First, I'm going to add like a highlight on the lid, and then I'm going to revisit again the black. But first, I wanna work this line. Your paper needs to be super dry. So very thin lines. You can even go first with the big lines and then go back and add the thin lines in between. That's why it's important to have a very thin brush to be able to do these tiny lines. And we need to add some lines here in the belly. So then, with the same white, I want you to go back and add some white. And the good thing about the Pro White is that if you add a little more water than normal and you trace and you paint something, then you can come back and add in more color. So that's what I like, because like that you can control. So here I want to add some highlights. Let me grab more. And a little bit here as well. These need to be more thick because the color, I'm not going to change the color. And here we have a very nice white line as well, so I'm just going to revisit a little bit. And some highlights here. And this is what I told you, the white is not super white. so that's why I like to revisit some areas that I want to have more like bright white. Okay, so let me just grab my black. Just to revisit the pupil. Very tiny highlight we need here. And that's it. So let me just take out this.